All of you have been asking so many questions on what roadmap you should take in order to become a data analyst. So we thought we'll invite an expert on this matter, Mr. Saurav. I fumbled. Hello everyone, welcome back to iNeuron's official channel. I'm your host Aishwarya, and today we're going to dive into an episode of what roadmap you should take to become a data analyst in 2024. We have with us today our beloved mentor, Mr. Saurav Maurikar, who is the AGM of Data Analytics at iNeuron AI. So can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Hey, hi everyone. My name is Saurav Maurikar. And if I talk about my journey, I think it started way back in 2005, where I started teaching mathematics, statistics, and data interpretation to various students at test prep industry in India. And I grew leaps and bounds over there from a trainer, from a mentor. I went into lead cities and lead various centers across. And after spending 10 years, I thought that I should probably understand business management to its core. And that's when in 2016, I did my MBA from XLRA Jamshedpur and got a very closer look at how businesses are framed and how various, wheels in the business function together. And since then, I've been in the tech sector, and iNeuron is my fourth company in the tech sector. Wow. And then I entered in the field of analytics. I was always inclined towards mathematics and numbers. So that motivated to me to enter into the field of analytics. And it's been around 6 to 7 years that I'm into analytics and still a student here, right?
It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Let's dive into the field of data analytics right away. Okay. So the term data analytics itself, I think it's very confusing to a lot of people when we hear it, right? Can you please explain to us in the most simplest way you can?
All right. So as the name suggests, so data analytics is nothing but analyzing the data. Now, if you look at data, data is basically in three formats. One is structured, other one is semi-structured, and third one is unstructured. Now, if I talk about structured data, which is having tables and rows, and let's assume that you're talking about the number of people who are visiting Amazon as a web page every day, and you want to capture the data. Let's say the data is in various columns and various rows. Now, there are a lot of things. Once you look at the data, you can see it in that particular data. For example, what are the various ages that you can see in the data? But a lot of insights are there which are generally missed if you look at the data as a whole, right? And data analytics as a field is nothing but comprising of all the methods, terminologies, theories, tool application to understand the insights which you can't see by looking at the data in a raw format. Okay. So it generally goes at three levels. One is at predictive analytics, second one is prescriptive analytics, and third one is diagnostic analytics. So in predictive analytics, we look at the data and we try and predict a certain target variable. Okay. For example, let's say there's a data of there are certain people who have defaulted on a credit card loan. And based on the past data, we are going to predict that if the next 100 customer comes in, which of those have high level of probability of defaulting in the credit card basis. So this is predictive analytics.
All right.
Then we have something called as prescriptive analytics, in which analyst is trying to prescribe something to the decision makers in the business.
Okay.
And then we have something called as diagnostic analytics, in which we are trying to diagnose a certain data. That is, how many male, female customers are there? Okay. What are the average amount spent by male and female customers on, let's say, e-commerce website? We are just trying to diagnose the data and getting deep into the data. That is diagnostic analysis. So the entire field of data analytics goes into these three levels.
All right. I think you put it in the most simplest way for all of us to understand. But I think there are two terms, right? Data analytics and data science, which are often confused for one another.
Correct.
Can you explain the difference between these two?
Yeah, I don't blame people. I think because for the first couple of years, even I stayed confused between the, what is a data science and data analytics. But in order to understand the difference between data science and data analytics, we need to understand the entire data project. Now, if you look at a project in which we want to find some insights and create some visibility from data, it starts right from finding the source of the data. It moves to data ingestion, which means that taking the data into the system. Then it moves to cleaning and preparing the data. Then it moves to model building, and then it moves to visualizing and creating visibility in the data.
Okay.
Now, data scientist is involved in all these stages over here. That is, he's as much involved in creating databases, understanding the data sources, data ingestion part as well. He's also involved in, preparing the data, and he's also involved in machine learning methods and various other methods for modeling the data. And finally, a bit into data visualization and visibility generation over there as well. Whereas a data analyst is a subset, is the younger brother of data scientist. Okay. And data analyst is majorly towards analyzing the data, the present data over there, and and generating insights, which is going to help the business processes, is going to make the processes better, is going to give insights to various departments. Now, that is why, as a data scientist is involved in a longer chain in the entire data project, he or she should be adept with various other tools and technologies and methods.
Okay.
For example, Azure, AWS, SQL is something that a data scientist should know. Apart from that, the gamut of skills in data scientists goes up to deep learning, reinforcement learning as well, not to forget machine learning, of course, and then a bit into generative AI and various other data analytics tools like data visualization, power, business intelligence tools as well. Whereas data analyst, when it comes to his workings is a subset of what data scientists must do. In various organizations, data analysts are actually supporting the data scientists.
Okay.
And data analyst is majorly into analyzing the data, a bit into predictive analytics, and majorly into creating dashboards and creating visibility for the organization for decision-making purposes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you spoke about skills, right? Required by data scientists as well as data analysts.
Correct.
Now, let's say somebody like me who's from a non-technical background. If I want to become a data analyst, what kind of skills would I require? What kind of qualifications would I require?
Okay. So the first thing that a data analyst might have to do is to talk to a database in the company. And the way you talk to a database is through a programming language, which is majorly SQL in most of the companies, right? And most of the companies are moving to various other database management systems, but SQL will remain over there. So SQL is one skill. Then, of course, we move on to advanced Excel. And then we want to a bit of programming language over in there, which is Python. And then when it comes to data visualization, you need to have at least grip on two data visualization tools like Power BI and Tableau. Any other skill, for example, generative AI, knowledge about generative AI, knowledge about deep learning or knowledge about reinforcement learning will be an added advantage over there. But one programming language like Python and R, one programming language for talking to database management systems like SQL, and at least two skills which you can visualize the data and create visibility for the organizations like Power BI, ClickView, Tableau. These are the skills that you need to have. So if I sum it up, it'll be majorly SQL, advanced Excel, Python, Power BI, and Tableau. Must have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How important is having prior experience to becoming a data analyst?
All right. So had that question been for data scientists, I would have said that, okay, prior experience is required, prior domain knowledge is required. But when it comes to data analyst, I think even companies understand that somebody who is adapted the skills, these are the 5 tools that I've mentioned just now. If you're adapted these 5 tools, I think the companies don't mind taking freshers or somebody with like 6 months or 1 year of experience as a data analyst. So you can start your journey as a junior data analyst, supporting a senior data analyst over there, and then you can move towards data analyst. So it's not like, with zero experience, you can start into your field of data analytics.
Do you think doing courses is sufficient to becoming a data analyst?
You should always learn. There's no way. There's a saying that today's technology will be tomorrow's history.
Right.
Okay, so the point is that whatever you're looking at today, 10 years down the line, you anyways have to learn, right? So I've seen cases in which there's a new skill or new tool has come in the morning. Bosses say to analysts that learn this tool and apply it in the evening. So the world of technology is moving very fast, and I think it's a very good idea. If you have an idea that I learn these 7 skills and these 7 skills will stay with me for the entire career as a data analyst, you are mistaken.
Right.
So there'll be updated tools coming in, there'll be new tools coming in. Learning it should not be a necessity, it should be a habit for data analyst. And not only that, it's just not courses, you should be a part of community, either through blogging or through YouTubing or something. Just stay connected to a community. Community like Kaggle or GitHub or any other community that you prefer is extremely it's something it's almost inevitable.
Right.
Because the first update which comes for a technology or a new technology or new method coming in gets to the community first, and that gets to the open sources over there. Should definitely learn a lot of courses, right? For example, in iNeuron, we have a lot of variety of courses for whatever people want to learn, right? So I think that is a very good initiative and people should participate in that initiative. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So you mentioned a few programming languages, right? Like Python, R.
Correct.
How are these required for data analytics? What role do they play?
Okay. So, for example, imagine that you have a genie with you, okay, just like Aladdin. The only difference being that And then Genie, of course, is very, very powerful, right? It can do a lot of tasks in almost no time. For example, if there are certain complex calculations that you need to do, you'll take 100 hours to do that. The Genie will do it in 100 seconds or even lesser, maybe, right? You have to do some repetitive task. You have to do it like 1200 times. The Genie can do it in, 1200 times again, but in, let's say, 30 seconds or 40 seconds. So it's a very powerful Genie. It's going to make you efficient and effective, let's say, 1000 or 2000 times. Now, what do? Of course, you want to interact with the Genie, you want to instruct this Genie, and you want to be on the Genie's side, you want the Genie to be on your side.
Yeah.
But there is a problem. The Genie doesn't understand the language you speak. He doesn't understand English or Hindi.
Okay.
What he understands is his own language. Now, as a smart user, what are you going to do? You're going to learn that language, right? And then you will take yourself to be in a position in which you can interact with the Genie so that you can instruct the task and, make yourself more efficient and effective. Now, that Genie is the world of technology or computers. And that language is the programming language. Programming language is nothing but a language which talks to the computers.
Right.
And most of the technologies are now, it's inevitable to avoid computers in any field now, avoid technology in any field, right? So a lot of businesses, a lot of organizations are already using data in various levels of technologies, right? So as an employee, you should learn how to talk to computers, talk to technology, right? And that is the way of, programming language. That is why it's very essential, even for a non-tech guy, to learn at least one programming language, at least to basic plus level. It's extremely essential. Even government has started introducing coding into the basic schooling, right? So that is one very nice initiative over here, and that indicates that how important, programming language and coding will be in future.
Wow, I think that's a wonderful analogy, by the way.
Thank you.
So diving back to the tools that you mentioned, right? The data visualization tools like
Correct.
Power BI and Tableau.
Correct.
Which one would you prefer? Which one should I learn?
All right. So first of all, if you want to become a data analyst, you should learn both, right? But if I think this again is a very repetitive question a lot of people ask, right? What is the difference between Power BI and Tableau? For that, what we need to understand is that what do we do with data, right? Once data comes into this system, you need to prepare the data. That is, you clean the data. It's a raw data, right? At times, values are missing. At times, values are repetitive. At times, there is duplicacy over there. A lot of problems are there with raw data. What you need to do is to clean that data and prepare that data. If you want to, include another feature in the data, you need to include it over there. Then once you're done with this, you move on to data modeling. And then data modeling, after data modeling, we move on to data visualization. These are the 3 steps that an analyst does with data. Now, Power BI does all 3 of them.
Okay.
All right. And Tableau does data modeling and data visualization. Data cleaning Tableau is not very much known for data cleaning. But if you look at Tableau, right, when it comes to Power BI, all these 3 activities can be done at an average plus level.
Okay.
Right. But if you want to go deeper into data visualization, I think Tableau is the case over there. So Tableau with a lot of cutting edge, I should say technologies or, tool elements over there, like marks, pages. The filter options in Tableau is very advanced over there. Plus, including elements and features like calculated field and parameters. Tableau takes data visualization to a next level. Power BI also has some very great visualization, nothing to take away from Power BI. But Tableau goes very deep into data visualization. Right. So companies which have, to an extent, doesn't have to clean a lot of data. They already have clean data or the data being cleaned in some other processes. And data analysts are just looking at creating visibility. I'm talking about multinational corporations. They have huge data over there. They generally prefer Tableau.
All right.
Whereas organization in which they have to clean the data, prep the data, model the data, and then they have to visualize the data at an average plus level. Right, and they can give up it on data visualization front, are going for Power BI. Hence, Tableau is slightly more costlier than Power BI. Right, and Tableau being generated by Salesforce, Power BI being from Microsoft. I think these tools are always in tandem, right? But if the data is slightly on the cleaner side and you're focusing more on visualization front, I think Tableau is better. Whereas if you want to go a bit on all 3 of the aspects like data preparation, modeling, and visualization, I think Power BI is the tool that is used by a lot of organizations.
All right. Both seem to have their own perks.
Yeah, both of them have their own.
And you would suggest master both, right?
Yeah, mastering both. Mastering both. I think both the tools help each other as well. right? So they complement each other as well.
Nice.
So if you learn Power BI, I think an element of Tableau is learned, and I mean vice versa as well, right? I mean, and Tableau, Power BI is also learned. Plus, we can go for other tools like Google Studio, ClickView as well, right? All of them are connected. Learning from one will definitely is a portion of that is transferable to the other one, definitely.
All right. So you mentioned to us skills. You
Yeah.
mentioned all the tools that we should learn, right? But I'm sure our audience wants to know that if I start learning data analytics today,
Right.
how long is it going to take me to
Yeah.
sort of master it and be ready to sit at an interview?
Yeah, that's the case with this generation, isn't it? They
Okay.
want to be very, very objective, and they want to know
You
how
want to
many.
do everything
So
quickly.
I'll make it very objective. 250 to 300 hours of preparation time.
Okay.
This includes theory and practice as well.
Okay.
So let's say if I take the upper side of it, 300 hours, and you're devoting, let's say, 2.5 hours every day. I'm talking about around 120 days, roughly around 120 days, which is like 4 months of hardcore preparation time every day.
Okay.
Now, if you want to relax on weekends, be my guest. But in that case, that 4 months will jump to 6 months and 7 months.
Fair.
So you can take that with a concentrated and persistent effort of 250 hours to 300 hours will be more than sufficient to learn all of them. I'm not talking about Python over here. I'll separate Python separately because Python is huge, right?
Right.
Python, which has the libraries which are required for data analytics purposes, including them only. At a basic level, if you want to learn that along with the rest of the tools, 250 to 300 hours of prep time, however you want to spread it across, is required.
Okay. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that the term data analytics has been there for a while. But
Yeah.
I think recently there's been an uprise in terms of like the craze around it, right?
Yeah, right.
What do you think? Do you think there's scope in the market? Do you think there is potential to grow in the field of data analytics?
So there's a huge potential. I think the potential is right now unimaginable. There's a reason behind it, right? So I think if you take yourself around 2.5 decades ago or 3 decades ago, what was happening was, how was data? Data is always generated, right? If the government of India has been taking census since independence,
Correct.
right? So data is generated right from 1950s as well. But imagine the way the data is generated. The data is generated with human to human interaction over there. So you have to go to home, collect the data, jot it down somewhere, and then file it. So that's how data was generated in like 1980s and 1990s.
Right.
Then came machines. So humans started interacting with machines. Now the data the speed of data generation slightly increased because you're not talking to a software, and a software is also generating data. But now if you imagine today's scenario, like around a decade ago, right from 2010, let's take it after recession, then machines are interacting with each other.
Right.
And because of that, for example, let's say you are on your local system, you like a certain video on Facebook or let's say Instagram, that goes into Meta's server somewhere in North America, right?
Okay.
So you're interacting, your local machine is interacting with another machine over there. Now imagine this being done for 10 years continuously, right? So the data generation has exploded. Imagine a curve like this. This is the data generation. And this is our understanding and ability to process the data. The gap between the data generation and our ability to process the data has always widened.
Agreed.
And that is why we require better tools, better technologies, and more people over here to make sense of the data and generate insights for businesses. So it's only going to increase in the future.
Okay.
Plus, tools like generative AI has started coming into picture, which can actually generate data for you. So the data which is already there, it's there. We're not able to process it completely, but now tools are there which can generate data for you. Right. So that is going to give a lot of scope to a lot of individuals, at least for the next 3 decades into data analytics and data science. Huge scope.
I think you've sort of clarified every doubt that I would probably have about data analytics.
Yeah.
And if the audience has more doubts, please make sure that you put it in the comments and Sir will answer that for you as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
My pleasure.
I just have one last question for
Sure.
you. As a mentor, what advice do you have for our audience?
All right. So whatever experience that I've gained over the last, 15, 16, 17 years, whatever number I've stopped counting the years now. But yes, persistence is the key. Perseverance is the most important key, right? There'll be time in which you'll think that this is not paying me, this is not happening, and you'll feel down. Take a break, but don't stop. Okay, so persistence is the key. You'll have to be persistent in those 250 to 300 hours of preparation time. Persistence is going to pay you no other skills, even if you're not very intelligent, even if you're not very knowledgeable. But if you have persistence, I think you will be successful. Your chances of being successful is, twice or thrice with and without persistence, right? So please be persistent and continue your efforts.
I think that's some great advice, very
you.
valuable. And I think it was a pleasure having you here. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
very
much
much.
for joining us today.
Thanks
It
a
was
lot.
great talking to you.
Pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you.
So that's it for today.
Okay, allow me please.
Okay.
Guys, please visit iNeuron.ai. We have some great programs over there. Visit our community programs. We have a lot of courses absolutely for free for you to enroll. The courses are in data analytics, big data analytics, generative AI, data science, whatever you want to call it, right? So please explore these courses. You can also explore our paid courses over there as well. Please follow us on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks a lot.